Here we go. Hey friends, how's it going? I'm streaming today on Facebook and YouTube like usual, and if it's your first time catching this live stream or replay, my name is Lynn Clementi Hicks, and I am talking about how pregnancy is going. I've got a story today. Well, I've got a couple stories. I'm going to dive in pretty quick here. First of all, I've learned a few things. YouTube has changed, but I'm all on top of it now. I got a couple new subscribers this weekend, and it just reminded me I'm just like 150 or 120 away from hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark, which would be really cool. So if you're watching on Facebook and you aren't subscribed on YouTube, if you don't mind, go on over there, hit subscribe. I don't really care where you watch after that, but the subscriber count seems to matter. So anyway, hi. Let's jump in here. I missed last week. It was Memorial Day on Monday, and was all wrapped up in the projects and activities we were doing. We went to the Cubs game. It was an exciting win, and decided I just, needed to take a week off. So apologize if you were here waiting for my live stream. Hopefully you knew that I wasn't going to be here. I'm back this week. So there's been basically a 2-week gap. So I have officially been diagnosed with gestational diabetes. Doctor sent me a note and referred me to a diabetes specialist. And then put in a prescription. I had to go pick up my little test kit. Okay. I don't think I shared any of that with you yet, but stop me if I have. I'm going to make this my gestational diabetes episode, okay? So if you found this by searching about gestational diabetes and pregnancy, this is a good one. I'm going to share everything that I've learned in the, week and a half since I've had it, which please don't dismiss it just because it's only been that short of a time. I've learned a lot, and I feel like I can provide some help for you if you're going through this. And even if you're not going through it, and people are pregnant, or maybe you've had this in the past, whatever. We're a community here. Knowledge is power, right? So I'm going to share first the little kit that I've got. So now my tester, when I was very excited about it when I got at the pharmacy, the pharmacist was so nice and showed me how to use it, because I picked up my kit before seeing the doctor and knowing what all this was. My kit is not that fancy. There's way fancier ones out there, but it doesn't really matter that much. It's all about you and your habits and how you test. This could be used not just for gestational diabetes, but whatever type of diabetes you have, as far as I know. So anyway, but we're talking about gestational diabetes today. So this here is the little tester. I'm actually going to just do a little demo and I won't show blood, don't worry. Because I used to be squeamish about blood, and I certainly wouldn't want my viewers to be like, what, why are you making me pass out here? So in the little canister, it's got these, hold on, I got you. Come on, here we go. So this is this end here is where the blood, just a tiny bit of blood kind of draws into that little gold strip. And then this part here, as the pharmacist called it, the piano keys, gets inserted into the reader. I don't even have to take my reader out of the case, my little pouch. It's all here. Just gets slid in to the top, and it activates. It turns on, gives me a little, I'm working, and then tells me it's ready. All right. This guy right here is my tester. So I know it's a little bleached out because of the lighting here. There's not much to see. It's actually just white. It says one touch. It's got a little clip here. Then I put in, I'll try and do this so it's in focus for you. Put this in. Oop. And then twist this off here. Stay in focus, you can do it. There we go. and then you see the little sharp there. And we take the little lid, goes back on. Okay, so that's kind of what protects it. And then you've got a little number down here. You can dial it up or down depending on how deep you want that little prick to go. It's what it is. It sounds weird saying little prick. And then I would do this and hit the little green button, and and then it would just put that little prick right in there. I'm not going to do it because I don't need to do a reading right now. Squeeze my finger a little bit, have a tiny little drop, and it goes right there onto that, and then it gives me a little 3, 2, 1 and tells me my blood sugar reading. So that is how you do it. And now I'm all set up for my next reading after dinner. And now you know. So if you're ever curious, boom, curiosity solved. I need to do this 4 times a day. Now, it's not going to be that way for everybody. It seems to be common with my gestational diabetes support group that I joined, because you know me and I love these little support groups. Joined this group and found most people have to do a fasting reading. So that means when you first wake up in the morning, and then 2 hours after each meal. So 2 hours after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And those are my 4 readings of the day. And what I'm looking for is a range of my blood sugar. And if it spikes, I kind of have to make, a mental note. What did I eat that caused that? And then try and avoid those foods moving forward. It's pretty simple. When this first happened, I cried. I was crying because I thought it was a correlation between my health and, the diabetes, and that's not the case with gestational diabetes. This could be because I'm 40 years old and pregnant. This happens with some women with, they could be pregnant 3 times and only have gestational diabetes once out of those times. So, as Kelly has pointed out a few times, it's a lot to do with the placenta, supposedly. Now, when I went and met with the diabetes specialist, she was looking at my numbers because, she had my file, and she told me, she never mentioned the word placenta once. She just said it was hormonal, and drew me a really cool chart, a diagram of what my, like a blood vessel looks like. And she's like, okay, when you eat, these are the sugars, and then your pancreas releases insulin to go and be the key to let your cells absorb sugar into your body, right? And if you don't release enough insulin, then all those sugars that you eat go to the baby. And then if the baby gets too much sugar, there's a couple of risks there. One is that baby will get too big and it will be a very uncomfortable, possibly dangerous delivery. And 2, I could be putting baby at risk for, being born with diabetes, I believe it was, or some form. Because they would be so used to having a certain level of sugar, and then after they're born, they're not getting that sugar anymore from my body. So that's why monitoring this and trying to regulate the sugars in my body is so important. Once I learned that, I was like, okay, I can do this, no big deal. I'm proud to share that in my case, and this is, I don't mean to make anyone feel bad if this is not their experience, but I caught on to this whole testing thing very quickly and was able to see, okay, even whole grains for me spike my sugar, or spike my blood sugar. Sometimes the whole grains are considered more of a safer carb to have, but I really I can have it, but in much less quantities. Learned quite a few things from the specialist. And this kind of goes, I guess, for diabetes of all kinds. But portion size is a big deal. If you just take in too much food, your body's going to react to that and your blood sugar is going to go up. Order that you eat makes a difference. If I eat my proteins first and then have my starch or my, whatever has the sugars in it, my body will be able to process the sugars better. Who knew? So I put that to the test yesterday and it worked. It was really, really cool. And learning how to read labels in a different way. I calories was always, be a calorie counter, don't eat over 2,000 calories. But with gestational diabetes, I'm looking at carbs and sugars and how many added sugars there are in whatever I'm eating. So I'm trying to basically get that as close to zero as possible. We don't want any added sugars. Natural sugars are safer. Things in fruits, berries, those kinds of things, those are okay because those are considered, look at me, go here. I'm just like a TED Talk on diabetes, education channel over here. High glycemic and lower glycemic. I believe that's higher index and lower index of sugars. So like if I were to just have like a piece of candy, that's a higher index, I think. Correct me if I'm saying this wrong. So my body will absorb that a lot faster. Versus the lower index sugars, which are your natural sugars like the fruits, honey, and then some other like sugar substitutes. Those will break down slower, make it easier for my body to digest them. So many fascinating things here. So it's not necessarily, cut out all sugars, just be more mindful about how many there are and the portion size. And then as far as carbs go, I'm trying to stick within a certain number of carbs for each meal, which is also super helpful. Like, I don't know. I never realized what carbs really were. And I know that that's a weird thing to say because I was so much into, healthy eating and stuff before. But now I'm paying attention to that part of the labels. So let me know if you can relate to any of this. Is this fascinating to you? Am I boring you? Let me know in the comments. Drop me a note. Let me know about your experience. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Now, if you have questions about gestational diabetes, I'll do my best to answer it. I'm not obviously an expert, but what I have learned so far has put my mind at ease. For the remainder of the pregnancy, and I hope that maybe me sharing this can do that for some other people too. So hi Marcus, hi Mom and Dad, hi Bert. Thanks for saying something in the chat. If you're watching and you want to let me know that you're there, feel free to say hi. I know people are on vacation now. It's summertime. Everybody's busy. The weather is finally amazing around here, so people are probably not behind a screen, watching live. But if you're watching in the replay, thanks so much for doing that. And hi, Amy. I saw your hi. So, okay. So I don't have comments that I'm going to put on the screen today. I didn't set that up, but I see a comment here that was, "Oh no, we poisoned you." This is from my dad. He's with you and the baby with jelly beans at Easter time. So this was a question I had not about jelly beans, but what about what I was eating up until this point? Well, interestingly, my body it's not a worry up until they tell you to do the blood the glucose drink test, right? Let me back up here. So a few weeks ago I had to do the 1 hour test, the glucose test, where you chug that highly sweetened drink and then they draw your blood an hour later and it tells them a certain number, basically your blood sugar and how your body's breaking it down. If you fail that, which a lot of people do, it's meant to kind of be a catch-all, catch everybody that can possibly fail. They send you to the 3 hour, which is 4 blood draws, a fasting one, you drink this stuff, and then they test you after 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. If you fail that one, that's when they diagnose you with the gestational diabetes. And that happened around week 26, if I'm not mistaken. So around week 26, they'll have you do this test. Up until that point, if you have sugar and stuff, it's probably not impacting things the way that I described just a few minutes ago with the sugars going to baby. Baby's not big enough for it to really be adding on the extra weight and like making their and now we have the next 11, 12 weeks to for baby to adjust to what the right sugar levels are. So the specialist put my mind at complete ease when I asked her. I'm like, oh my God, I was literally craving sweets when I never used to crave sweets before. I never really was a big dessert person before pregnancy. And then all of a sudden, cookies and donuts became like the best thing in the world to me. That was because my body was craving sugars. It was because that's what we needed. And it was something, you know, our body is giving us these little signs during pregnancy of what we want. That's why there's these weird cravings out there that people talk about. And they have like these cravings for, you know, something super salty. It's because their body needs more sodium or whatever it may be. I don't know if that's the right thing. I'm not a doctor, guys, but this is what I'm learning. So anyway, Dad, you are not, definitely, there's no problem with all those jelly beans I ate at Easter. They were worth it, 100%, and I have no regrets. Okay, great question, though. Not really a question, but it led to a good little knowledge thing. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. I've been using an app to track mine. I will just say this now because I tried a couple of apps. There are some that are super fancy and will sync with the super fancy blood level readers. I don't have one that syncs with Bluetooth and stuff, so I'm just using a very basic app that I absolutely love for the simplicity factor. It's called GD Tracker. It's this logo here. Looks like a pink drop of blood. It is meant for gestational diabetes. It's not even like a broad diabetes one, which there are apps out there that'll help you with whatever kind of diabetes you have. But this one is specifically just, you know, and it knows, you know, the typical, you know, usually it's 4 things. It knows it's fasting and it's either 1 or 2 hours after you eat. So it's simple. I don't have to go and like spend hours learning how to do it. It even has a built-in reminder. So when I log my meal, it starts a clock and then it says, hey, it's been 2 hours since you ate. Time to track your results. I put my results in and it tags it right onto that meal. So it's really cool to see that. And I'll share mine. Oh, hold on here. I know how to do this. Don't you worry. Here we go. Maybe too dark. Oop. So I'll share kind of what it looks like here. You can see it shows my numbers in green, and then yesterday I had tamales for lunch, and I'm like, how bad can tamales be? It's meat, and you know it's wrapped in a corn husk. Like what's so bad? I guess tamales are not just meat, you know, wrapped in a corn husk. There's more in the, I guess, mix, you know, that they do. So my body did not respond super well to the tamales. However, I also had a little bit of this mango, mango lemonade. And I asked what they sweetened it with, and they said honey. And I'm like, well, let's give it a try. Let's see what the old body can break down here. So I don't know if it was the tamales or the lemonade, which I only had like this much of Bert's, like, you know, full cup. However, I didn't feel bad about it because when I had met with the specialist, I had specifically asked, I'm like, you know, what happens when I spike? Is that bad every time? And she goes, no. Have a cheat meal. It is okay to have a meal once in a while. Like, don't go crazy. Don't have like pizza and then have a cake right afterwards. But, you know, if like you wanted to have some pizza, you know your numbers are going to spike. You know how your body's going to react to it. Like now I don't feel very good after I have those things, and I can feel my body going through that high blood level. And then, you know, it's so it's kind of like a decision you have to make. Do you want to go through that consequence and enjoy that meal, or do you want to play it safe? But again, portion size, you know, have that pizza, but don't have a ton of it. Have that tamale, but maybe have 1.5 instead of 3, like I tried to do. And anyway, so those spikes are not the end of the world. And the rule of thumb basically is you can control gestational diabetes with your diet and tracking. It's like only if you're failing 50% or more, meaning 50% of those numbers or more are red, or spiking, that's when they want to put you on insulin to try and control your blood sugar. I'm fine, guys. I'm not even close to that. I've got this. So I'm aware, though, that, you know, some people it's way harder, that their gestational diabetes is way more out of control. No, it is no fault of theirs at all, and that's what the insulin is for. But I'm really glad that I don't have to do that, which is going to be a good segue to my next story here. So, hi, Christy. Thanks for saying hello. Bert is asking, what can you have for sugars for dinner? So that's a great question. So your sugars at dinner time or lunchtime really are going to come from the starches, and you are supposed to have starches. So we've adjusted from going to like white rice to brown rice, and even brown rice can cause spikes, but just again, moderation. Smaller bits, smaller portions of brown rice is fine because it comes with a lot of other nutrients that you need. We discovered a new grain called, well, not new, it's been around for a very long time, but new in our household that we had not normally ate before, called farro, Farro, and it's delicious. And farro leftovers, so we had it instead of our like our high sodium rice-a-roni that we usually just do as a side with our very healthy fish, you know, but it's delicious. We did the farro instead of the rice, and then whatever leftover farro I had, I put it actually in my greens, my salad the next day for lunch, and it was awesome because I added just a little bit of, I don't know, little texture to it instead of like croutons. It's not crunchy, but it's I don't know, just a little bit more something to chew on in your salad rather than just lettuce. So anyway, there's that. You have to be careful of, like, if you are having dressing with your lunch or dinner or breakfast, I guess, be careful of your dressing. So salads, great. Get all those greens and veggies and everything, but be careful of the dressing. That's where it'll get you. Don't put croutons on it. That's where the carbs come in, and carbs have sugar. So it's a lot of the glutens, and I don't know. You have to, I don't know. You can use a lot of resources. Like if you're ever unsure, there's a cheat, not a cheat, but a website or an app. And I'm really sorry I don't have it right off the top of my head. It's written down upstairs. Maybe I'll bring it next week. But if you're ever unsure, it'll actually tell you if it's like a good sugar or bad sugar, what the recommendation is. Though I've also found Google to be the fastest way. So if I am unsure, I go tamales, gestational diabetes, and right there it'll come up with the answer. Tamales are not recommended for gestational diabetes. And yeah, hi Christy. Yeah, you had to break your finger too? I didn't know that. That's crazy. We'll have to, it's so interesting how many people go through this and don't talk about it very much. But you know, why would you if no one asked, really? So cool to, not cool that you had it, but, I like finding out that I'm not alone in this. Kelly also, you know, she's been a huge support and huge resource for me. Was able to tell me a lot of tips and tricks that she used. So I am really excited to pass this knowledge on to other people if I find out that they have gestational diabetes, and be there as a resource for them. And yeah, and so Christy's saying, so she's had 2 pregnancies and she only had it with her first. She didn't have it with the second. So see guys, it's not the mama, it's the baby. It's how our body is going through the pregnancy. And not the baby in particular, but like just the pregnancy. So anyway, okay, Bert's throwing all these fun things at me, these questions. He said, can you eat eggs? This is the segue. Luckily my morning routine, having a breakfast sandwich on an English muffin, has been acceptable. I'm so excited. I have never spiked after having my normal English muffin breakfast sandwich, which I normally have just a little bit of sriracha mayo, some greens, and then occasionally I'll put on like a slice of tomato or some smashed avocado, and 1 slice of American cheese. And this is healthy. It's the right amount of carbs. It fills me just enough. And And I was so excited that I could keep eating these. Now, I make my eggs in the microwave in a ramekin or like a round dish. So something that's like this big, the size of an English muffin, right? So you break your egg in there, you stir it all up so that it's like going to be a scrambled egg. Put it in the microwave. I do it for 52 seconds. Bert does it for 58. Somewhere in there, find what works on your microwave. But it turns into a nice little fluffy scrambled patty the size of an English muffin. Put that right on your English muffin. Put all those other things in there. Ready to go. This morning, I was making myself a breakfast sandwich. Put the egg in the microwave, and when I pulled it out, it had not cooked and it was still liquid, and it kind of just caught like a little lip, pulling it out of the microwave. And if it was solid, it probably wouldn't have mattered at all, like my clumsiness, but it was liquid, and so it splattered egg everywhere, all over my kitchen, all over the floor, on the stovetop, down the front of the cabinets. And I looked at this, and any, hormone level person would probably just grab a rag and clean it up and maybe, go, F or S and make a new one, right? But no, me, I felt it coming on and started going, oh God, don't cry. And guys, I could not control the sobbing that came from spilling my egg. It was ridiculous. Like, thinking about it right now, it's funny, but I'm also so hormonal. I'm like welling up with tears already. Like, I don't understand the tears over a spilled egg. I don't understand how hormones work, and why we cry over the weirdest things. No, it did not get on me. That was the one place it didn't hit. Like, it hit everywhere else. If it had landed on me, I don't know if I would have been able to handle that. Bert came out, and he was amazing. He laughed a little bit at me, but not in a mean way. And he's like, "It's just egg. It's okay." And he grabbed a rag and he helped wipe it up. And he's like, and he gave me direction to just get a new egg, Lynn. Get a new bowl. Make it, do a new one. It's going to be okay. I did all of it while I was crying. I probably cried for 5 minutes, like tears streaming down my face. Ugly cry. And we got through it. But I look back on it now and realize how silly. It didn't take long for me to be able to look back on it and realize how silly it was and how hormonally it was driven. Yeah. My mom is saying, I remember those types of tears when I was pregnant with you. She's saying Bert is the best. Those comments are on Facebook. If you don't see it on YouTube, that's why. Yeah, it was rough. So we luckily had a appointment with the doctor set up and scheduled this morning after breakfast. So on the way to the doctor, I got an email that made me cry a little bit. A friend was sharing some information with me that was sad, but I was like, again, just not in a place where I can receive information, process it, and move on. It was like stuck in me emotionally. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to go to work today. What if someone does something and I just start crying? So that's the level I'm at right now, is a fear of breaking out in tears in front of my coworkers, because it comes on awfully quick. Yeah. Christy has a funny cry story. You feel free to tell it here if you want to, Christy. Otherwise, I'd love to hear it later. But I'm happy to hear these stories. One of the things that you see if you join like a pregnancy Facebook group, is these, why did you cry today? And then someone will share what it was that made them cry. The one that made me laugh yesterday was a woman ordered an ice cream on a cone with a whole bunch of toppings on it. And they took the cone in the ice cream, and then they took a cup and just put it down like that so the toppings wouldn't go all over the place. And the woman said she started crying and didn't want to eat it anymore because she was so mad they put it into a cup. Again, it's so irrational. It's like what a toddler would do, and yet here we are, third trimester pregnant and sobbing over these things. Christy is saying she ran out of toilet paper and bawled on the toilet. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That I could see how that would be triggering, and absolutely no reason to cry. But when you're full of all these hormones, yes, it is a reason to cry. And Bert's fantastic too. He's like, whatever feelings you're having in your body, that's fine. And he's really good at not shaming me or making me feel bad about the tears. So, yeah, make sure if you're going through these tears, no matter where your tears come from, just make sure someone is not telling you not to cry, because whatever reason you're crying is fine, whether it's hormones or whatever. Those tears are there serving some sort of a purpose. Your body needs to get it out. Cry it out. Cry it out. I saw a tip for new parents that said when your baby cries, if you feel like crying, you should cry too. So there you go. And Christy, my mom is saying, I think anyone would cry about no toilet paper. Yeah, I guess depends if it's a 1 or 2 and how soon you expect to be showering next. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so one more, I'm going to share one more thing that I'm going through, and I realize I've been going on for quite a bit today. Thanks for hanging in there with me if you are. Real talk here. So, gosh, I can't remember how to say it. During pregnancy, the woman's abdominal muscles naturally start to separate down the middle to make room for your growing baby. Okay. There is something called diastasis recti or something like that. And sorry, if you know what it is, put it in the chat. There's an official name for it, and I can never remember. I can always recognize it in writing, but I can't seem to remember how to say it. But this separation of the abs is normal, and it normally happens later in the third trimester. Now, if it happens earlier, it's not a bad thing, but there's a lot of information out there about this where I hate to say it, but I feel like because I've looked it up a few times, I'm being targeted by social media ads about working out to snap back into place after you give birth. Like, you can do this, you can get your abs back. It's horrible. It's horrible, right? Like, this is not what I want to be seeing when I'm pregnant. I do not want to be reassured my body can come back. Maybe it is for some people, but for me it is like causing guilt and anxiety and fear about my changing body. So I got to a point just yesterday. Yeah, it was Sunday. I was laying in bed in the morning, and then it lasted all day because I laid in bed and I looked at my belly, and to me it looked like my abs in the middle were kind of doing this. If you can imagine, like, this is my belly. So, like, this is, you would expect a round belly, but to me it looked like my belly was doing this. And, I hear this thing where if you can fit like 3 fingers in between your abs, it means you've got this separation. Everything I'm reading says I shouldn't have this separation so early on in the pregnancy. And then they talk about a ridge that you see when you do a sit-up, or you sit up like from the laying down position. And sure enough, when I'm sitting up, I see like my belly kind of go like this. It's like my abs are working to help me sit up, even though I've tried to do it carefully. And so I was like, oh man, my abs are ripping. They shouldn't be. I'm screwed. I am like never gonna recover from this. My baby's gonna be in a bad position in my body, because I read an article, and you have to be so careful with these articles. But the article I read was like, if your abs are separated, then the baby's going to kind of come forward, like out away from your body, and like be out of position in order to go through, the cervix, like to be able to be birthed. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm setting myself up for failure. I don't have strong enough abs for this. This is my failing, like my failing fitness. Like, how did this happen? I used to have, really strong abs and a strong core, and I was just really beating myself up, guys. Again, this is me. This is not the norm for everybody, but because I have this idea of what my body was capable of, and it's failing me in so many different ways, I am extra hard on myself. And maybe it's relatable, maybe it's not, but I all day was so worried about my abs. And then it was also one of the first times where I could feel the baby kicking me in the ribs, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is, my abs splitting even more because, now she can get to the ribs. And I just like, it was it just like snowballed all day long. Like everything that I felt, it was like, oh God, this is my abs ripping more. I went to the doctor this morning. So cried about my spilled egg. Asked her about that. Is it normal to be crying over eggs? I didn't say eggs in particular. Well, maybe I did. And she's like, yes, those are the hormones. This is what you're going through. This is normal. And then I said, okay, well, what about my abs? And she had me lay down, and she started feeling way up here. Oh, you can't see it, but way above my belly button, way higher than where I was, trying to find my ab separation. She goes, okay, do a crunch. I do a crunch. She says, you have no separation. This is where you're supposed to be worried about the separation happening. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, what about down here? She's like, you have to separate your abs down there. Like that's normal. How is the baby going to grow if you don't? I'm like, oh my God. So she made me feel so much better. And guys, this is why it's so important to take these questions to your doctor and not Google, and get the reassurance from a medical professional that knows you and your body, and can help you through this. So that is my story. And I hope that, if I start to go down one of these rabbit holes of thinking I'm failing in this pregnancy again, I can play this back to myself and reassure myself that I should be talking to the doctor and not Google. So there's that. Yeah, my dad is suggesting do those searches in cognito mode to avoid the annoying follow-up ads. That's not a bad idea. So maybe next time if I'm worried about something, I'll do it in cognito mode so that the internet doesn't prey upon all my insecurities. All right, guys, so that is it. I have blabbed on for almost 45 minutes here today about what I'm going through. I will give you the quick belly view today. Here it is. Oh, I'm getting up. All right. So there we go. Can't even tell from the front, right? Just kidding. The stripes kind of make it obvious. But anyway, yeah. It's kind of fun. Kind of fun seeing the progress. And I'm really getting to feel the little girl growing inside of me, and it's fun. I'm trying to enjoy every day of this. So thanks for hanging out. Thank you for being so supportive and following along in this journey that's taken us so long to get here. So I welcome, if you have any other stories or comments or anything, please feel free to share it, even if it's in the replay. I do get notified when those happen and read them and enjoy them. Hello, Maureen. Thanks for commenting. Lynn, you are pregnant. Congratulations. This is wonderful, amazing news. Well, thank you very much. We're very excited too. We're due August 21st. So what do we have? Just under, I guess, 3 months to go. Thank you guys. I will be back next Monday, share more stories. Thank you, Marcus. It will all work out. Yes, I agree. And today I feel a lot better after talking to the doctor, and just my mind is kind of hopefully back to center. So We'll see if it stays that way. I'll see you guys next Monday. Thanks for hanging out. Bye. No.